there ever been any conversations between you and the former president about Matt Gaetz and his decision to throw you out? Was he supportive of that?
I don't know how close you probably think the president is to Gaetz, but you should figure that out.
They're not actually that close? Gaetz makes it out to be like they're...
I'm sure Gaetz probably makes a lot out of it. He probably lies about who he sleeps with, too.
You know, Kevin McCarthy, the guy that abandoned his own congressional seat and didn't want to serve the rest of his term, has some tough words for his former Republican colleagues. In the video that you just watched, he was speaking to reporters about Matt Gaetz. And in addition to accusing Matt Gaetz of lying about his ties to Donald Trump and his sex life, he also claimed that Congressman Nancy Mace needed help to straighten out her life. So we'll get to all of that in just a moment, but John, I love a good retaliatory effort. And Kevin McCarthy, he's retaliating. He's got a war chest.
It's a little bit vague. That bothers me. Does it bother you?
What do you mean?
Oh, you know, he's well, maybe you look into if they're close. I'm not saying anything, and then maybe who he sleeps with. I don't know.
So we're gonna get
to something specific.
We'll get to the Matt Gaetz stuff in just a moment. But look, what he's saying in the context of this interview is less interesting. I mean, it's spicy. I like spicy. But if you're looking for the substance, it lies in his war chest, which he's going to use to promote primary challengers to the so-called Crazy Eight who ousted him from his speakership role. So look, there are some that he probably will not use those resources towards. So Matt Gaetz has a very comfortable congressional seat. It is a very conservative district, and it would be an uphill battle to primary him. But he is gonna go after Nancy Mace, and I believe Bob Good is his first name Bob? Representative Good as well. So we'll see how that plays out. So alongside the spicy rhetoric, he's got a plan, and he's out for blood.
Okay, and I think he seems to think that some of them are more vulnerable than others. I mean, there's definitely been a lot of reporting about Nancy Mace that implies that just even inside of her own apparatus, she's having some trouble. So he should definitely pick his fights. But yeah, all the people he's targeting are bad, so have at him.
I mean, I like it. I'm having fun. I think this is the most productive Kevin McCarthy has ever been. So have at it. So let's get back to some of his quips in this interview. So McCarthy's quip about Matt Gaetz, who led the ousting of McCarthy as Speaker of the House, is likely a reference to the accusations of sex trafficking that Matt Gaetz has actually been investigated for and continues to be investigated for. First by the DOJ. First by the DOJ, then by the House Ethics Committee, and then the House Ethics Committee recommended that the DOJ open that investigation back up. Now, one of the allegations is that he solicited sex from a minor, which Gaetz absolutely denies. The Justice Department declined to charge Gaetz with any crimes, but there is an ongoing Ethics Committee probe that we'll get back into in just a second. Now, during McCarthy's surprise conference, he's the one who called a press conference so he can say all these things to reporters that we're now sharing with you. McCarthy was pressed about the ethics investigation itself and answered that he didn't know much about the investigation, but claimed that Gaetz had been very concerned about it while McCarthy was still Speaker and had asked the Speaker to do something about it. But he wouldn't, McCarthy went on, because that would be illegal. In response to McCarthy's claims that Gaetz is lying about who he sleeps with, Matt Gaetz had, I have to admit, a pretty good post on X.
Oh, don't call it that.
What stage of grief is this? No, it's pretty funny, come on.
No, I meant the X thing specifically. So he's observing the fact that Kevin McCarthy seems to be kind of floundering and all that. Okay, yeah, that's
floundering,
true.
He's out. Homeboy resigned.
Well, no, he's out, but like he's like trying to get back in. He's got the money. He's trying to do some insults. Like it hasn't yet borne any fruit. So you could describe it as like trying to figure out what your lane is going to be. That's true. And look, I guess Matt Gaetz still he's got that high of he was part of the group that ousted the guy, and that worked out great for them because now they got Mike Johnson and just everything's going so well in the House. They're not accomplishing anything.
No, they're not. Of course they're not.
Like one of them is floundering on the outside. One of them is still in power and getting a paycheck, but accomplishing nothing anyway.
Right.
But none of them really want to accomplish anything. And I'm sure Kevin McCarthy is raising tons of money. So
But John,
this just feels so stupid on both sides.
Stupid is correct, but are you not entertained? Like, if
No,
they're
it's
not
cool.
gonna,
Let them fight. I'm fine with it.
if they're not going to accomplish anything, can they at least entertain us? And I find this entertaining.
Well, look, and it's not just entertaining. You also have Kevin McCarthy, who's soaking up money, presumably given by Republicans that are now going to be used to take down other Republicans. So that's good. I'll take that.
Super fun.
And to the extent that we can trust what Kevin McCarthy is saying, he seems to be trying to imply, like, you know, that ethics investigation, he was really worried about it. I'm not saying anything. Now, look. He's definitely biased against Matt Gaetz, so do we trust his read of that? But he is trying to signal to people, including Republicans, perhaps Republicans in leadership, like, hey, this guy might have done this thing. And if he did that, then you being closely allied with him could hurt you. You know, like being closely allied with George Santos prior to him being ousted. If Matt Gaetz is gonna end up getting kicked out of Congress, then maybe people wanna start to make some distance now. But does he actually know anything about the ethics investigation that we don't already know?
We might have millions of people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker because we just need 1% of our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now.
If I had to bet money on it, I would say no. Based on the information that we have available. And the reason why is because there's this big story today about Matt Gaetz. Woo, the ethics committee has obtained text message exchanges with Gaetz and a young woman. Woo.
That sounds good so far, why are you wooing?
Well, because when I say young woman, I don't mean underage woman. She was 21 at the time that they're sending each other messages. If I remember correctly, 21 means you're an adult, you're not a minor.
Yeah, 100%, but thanks to the puritanical laws.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying, like, not everything that you theoretically do with a 21-year-old is legal, thanks to people like these conservatives.
What do you mean?
If the idea is that there's trafficking being done, someone is paying, there's like, you know, effectively sex work, like that's still largely outlawed in a lot of parts of America.
Sure.
I know it seems ridiculous, but it is.
No, I know, I get it. I don't think that that is enough to oust not Kevin McCarthy, Matt Gaetz.
What if it just makes him look bad?
I'm sure it might make him look bad to some people.
Look at that, maybe why Kevin McCarthy's pushing it then.
Man, if that's all he has, if that's his only ammunition against Matt Gaetz, I don't know. But anyway, let me give you the details about the text message exchanges. So, Congressional House ethics investigators, according to ABC News, obtained text messages allegedly showing that a few months after first joining Congress, Gaetz asked a young woman who at the time had received payments for sex from Gaetz's then close friend Joel Greenberg to join him and others on a 3-day trip to the Florida Keys in May of 2017. Florida Keys are beautiful. They will be underwater soon because of climate change, so enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, or don't believe that that's true, buy a house on the Keys, I guess, if you're a Republican.
Don't do that.
Okay, so and the funny thing is, like, I understand what you're saying, like, that's all they'd have on him, and I agree, I don't even think it should be illegal or whatever. But let's also bear in mind that there's like huge double standards here. Like with, I'm gonna blank on the name of the prosecutor in New York.
Eric Spitzer?
Eric Spitzer, that's what that was, and that took him down. Katie Hill had a threesome or something.
Katie Hill.
She left Congress, yeah, but she didn't leave Congress for our disagreements on policy. She left Congress for like a sexual thing.
I take no prisoners. Let's move on.
Okay, I know, but that's fine. Well, then let's also apply the same thing to Matt Gaetz. If he's breaking the law,
Yeah.
then I guess it's as bad as what Spitzer did. I don't know.
I know, but listen,
all of it seems dumb.
I guess the reason why I'm reacting to it the way that I am, which is to say, yes, they're hypocrites, right? Like anyone who's against sex work, wants to outlaw it, doesn't want to legalize and regulate it, they're hypocrites. But I don't begrudge anyone who seeks out sex work, right? Who needs a little bit of tender love and care and pays for it. It is what it is. It's been around since the beginning of humanity.
Decades.
But the reason why I'm not reacting to it strongly, other than my own political views on that type of matter, is that the way that this was first reported to the American people, the investigation into Matt Gaetz, was that he had basically trafficked an underage girl.
Yeah,
Okay,
but these text
but
messages don't preclude the possibility that that happened as well.
That's true, but they also do not confirm that he engaged in that kind
Let's
of.
pretend that they do.
No, we shouldn't do that.
Okay, that's
okay. We
fine.
need evidence of that.
Okay.
Okay. So in the alleged text messages, the then freshman congressman appeared to ask the woman if she would fly to the Florida Keys for a trip with Matt Gaetz. Hey, any interest in flying on a private plane to the Keys, May 19th. To the 21st, Gaetz allegedly wrote to the woman who was older than 21 at the time, according to multiple sources familiar with the messages. Gaetz then allegedly said that the trip would feature 2 guys, 4 girls, a very high quality adventurous group, according to the messages which have previously not been reported on. Yeah, I'm in, replied the woman, according to the text. Now, Gaetz then replied, fantastic, as is true with all time you spend with me, it'll be fun and chill. Let's send him to prison. Like, I think that's enough.
Yeah, send him to prison.
I'm kidding. Anyway, but
So weird.
Other context to know about this woman. So sources familiar with the event say that the woman ultimately decided not to go on the trip. Why is this significant? Well, the alleged messages are the first known example of a direct communication between Gaetz and this woman who, his one-time close associate, Joel Greenberg, had been paying to have sex with him and other men.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why it's relevant. There is some evidence, I guess, indicating that she was engaging in sex work and had been paid by a close associate of Matt Gaetz's to engage in sex work. A spokesperson for Gaetz told ABC News the following: Representative Gaetz has no knowledge of these activities by Mr. Greenberg and was not involved in them. Representative Gaetz has never paid for sex. Representative Gaetz does not know anything about the woman you're referencing. No, but that's a lie. He was messaging the woman that you're referencing.
Well, I don't know. His memory seems shoddy. Should probably step down from office. That's the standard.
Jesus. But anyway, the whole reason why we're talking about Matt Gaetz and all of this mess is because of Kevin McCarthy. He's got a bone to pick. He's out for blood. I'm here for it.
Yeah, we might well end up talking about this anyway because the ethics investigation is seemingly still ongoing, and theoretically they'll have some sort of report which might exonerate Matt Gaetz entirely. But yes, he's definitely trying to get it out there more, and we sort of get why.
Yeah, totally. Listen, sometimes I want vengeance, and I have to be the bigger person because I know seeking the vengeance would lead to an even worse situation, would compound the problem. So I live vicariously through others who seek vengeance.
Man, now I want to know what hidden quest for vengeance you're trying to restrain yourself from.
I could have been super petty and done a whole segment on Vosh's lolly content and the fact that he has horse-related porn in a folder on his computer that he accidentally leaked during a live stream. But I didn't mention that on the show, did I?
No,
I didn't mention that.
Never, not even. I don't remember that anyway, though I have taken many selfies.
I'm bigger than that. Yeah. I'm a bigger person.
As much bigger than a person is as a horse is.
Oh my God,
I honestly, I don't know. I know all of the individual words in that sentence you said. I don't know what it's referencing. I don't waste my time on any of that stuff.
Oh, I wasted my time on that.
You seem motivated.
I was.
If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.